Hi, I'm Sally McNamara, paediatric occupational therapist and author of the Motor Skill Flipbook program and the Sensory Support Flipbook guide. I'm going to be talking about my second book today, the Sensory Support Flipbook guide, and give some ideas on who it might be beneficial for and how to use it. So I wrote it can be used for therapists, but I wrote it predominantly with parents and educators in mind who may have identified that a child they know or their own child is responding to certain sensory forms of sensory input in a way that might be a bit outside the typical range. So, for example, they may have difficulty concentrating or are easily distractible. They may need to move around a lot or not like motion very much at all. They may have preferences for certain textures or they don't like certain textures and that could be in their food as well. They could be sensitive to smells or noise or need more of certain sensory input in order to feel just right, or that might be their preference. And everybody in the whole world has different sensory preferences, but sometimes those preferences or those differences are a bit outside of the typical range, and so may make it more difficult for that person to engage successfully in certain activities, and so they need adaptations to their environment or to the activities they participate in order to achieve success and feel regulated and okay. So the book's split into different sensory areas, and in each one of those sensory areas there'll be a description at the front. So, for example, the vestibular system, so the movement and motion system, provides a description of that sensory area. And then once you open it, the idea is to look on the left-hand side of the page at the description. So it's split into 4 different descriptions of different types of movement. And the green section is the I need more section. So it'll provide a description on a child or a person who may need more of that particular form of movement. So in this section, it's I need more opportunity to move through the day. And then on the other side, it will provide some ideas on how to support that. So you look at the left-hand side for the descriptions, and then you decide whether that child, yes, that description did fit, or whether they perhaps might have a mixed profile, so that would be the orange colour, or that child or person might need less. And so on the left-hand side, it has the description of each of those areas and then ideas on how to support. And so you may go through and decide that there's all red or all green or all orange, but typically you'll find a mixture of either all the colours or 2 of the colours in each section. So once you get the descriptions that match that person, sorry, the flip cards are hard in the vertical position, and then you'll have some initial ideas on how to support that. At the end of each section, there's a little summary form to fill out, so you can identify whether that child's needed more or less or has a mixed profile for each of the areas, and some initial ideas that you're going to try with that child or person. Then at the end of the book, I'll just flick through to the end of the book, sorry, the books have a sensory summary form which includes all the sensory areas, and then you can fill out the form to show whether the child needs more, less, or has a mixed profile. And that's a really good reference point for schools in particular, or kinders or preschool settings, to provide staff or people working with the child on a quick overview or summary of their sensory needs. And it can also obviously be good to have in the home environment for people in the family to refer to, so that they can be aware of what their child might need more of or less of in the day in order to feel just right. So if you've got any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact me on my Facebook page, which is Sally McNamara, Occupational Therapist for Kids. And if you feel that your child may need a more formal assessment, or your student may need a more formal assessment or report or anything like that, just contact your local paediatric occupational therapist. Thanks for listening.